Visit astlessons.com for lyrics and chords, sheet music, tablatures, useful links, and much more.
Hi there! So this is Robert from AST Lessons, and today I'll show you how to play Skinny Love with Bon Iver. Now this one is a full tutorial in C tuning in the key of A minor, which is what he uses. Now the video will be quite long, and I'll show a lot of details and variations. So if it's too much, you can use the timestamps and click around it. And either way, it might still be a good idea to pause and check the description to learn about the layout. Okay, so first off is an A minor. Then next we have a C note 5, that is the same shape, fret 5. And after that, a C, which is an open strum. Then next is a G at 4, the D bass note, which is 7th fret, adding index finger. And lastly, for C6, we move that to fret 5. So for all the chords except C, he muffles the E string with the thumb by folding and touching it. But since he plays the E string quite mellow, you can muffle the C too if you prefer. And then for the strumming, we mostly play number 1. That sounds like this. And slowly. And then for the short chords, we always play number 2. And slowly. And if you want variation, you can also mix with these two. Number 3, that is used a bit more, sounds like this. And slowly. Then number 4. And slowly. And if you're into details, there's 2 things it does quite a lot. The first is to start a new round with a shorter strum, sometimes just plucking the bass note. And the second thing is to accentuate the offbeats, which is these strums, by making them slightly longer and or harder. And for those of you who want to drill using a metronome, I've also written the patterns in practice form, which is easier counting, but you should remember that it plays a bit freely. On the LC Plus paper for this song, I've added numbers showing beats per chord. A known number means 2 beats, which is the same as 1 round of patterns. Then a star means a pause for 1 beat. So for example, on this chord, we play 3 rounds of patterns, followed by a 2 beats pause. And for the short chords with 1 beat, we always play pattern 2. Then lastly, I've also underlined where the licks are played. But if you don't want to play them, I've split the chords, so you can replace a lick with 1 round of patterns. So the first lick is played here, and the one to the left is the album version, and to the right is a variation he uses live. So this one sounds like this. And slowly. Then the second, which I used in the demonstration, has an added up strum. And slowly. Then for the next place, number 2 album version that I used. And slowly. And then a live variation without the slide. And slowly. And for the last place, it sounds like this on the album. But since it's really 2 guitars playing, and the G add 4/D is after, I replace the 2 with an open strum, and use that to move the hand. So slowly, like this. fast, it sounds like this. And live, he sometimes plays the same, but with a slide to the next chord. Then other times he plays this one to the right. And slowly. Then once again he follows with the slide. And when he slides, I've seen him do it from different places. So what sounds best is to do it from chords, either from here, here, or here. And also, it's a legato slide, not a big slide, so like this. And then the last detail on the album version is to play down up before the first chord. In the end, of verse 1, he plays this part. The way I do it is to slide all the way down and then try to time the open string to that. So slowly, it's like this. And later on, in the first row of verse 3, he plays like this. And slowly. And then in row 2, a variation of number 3 on the intro. And slowly. Then lastly, for the outro, we play a mix of previous licks. So first we play number 1 from the intro live version. And after that, number 2 and 3, we play the same as the intro album version. And also, if you're into details, he plays the very last chord like this. So the intro and outro is exactly the same, except for the ending and licks. And same goes for the 3 verses. But if you feel unsure, you can firstly try the LC Plus paper instead of LC. And also, for the overall structure, you can go back to part 2, which is also available on a paper called E. Now for the courses, we have 3 new chords. And first off is a C add 2 with an E bass note. And after that, a G add 4 with the B bass note. And lastly, an F with an A bass note. So on the last two, I use different fingering than him. The way he plays it is like this. To this. And the upside of playing like this is that you can release the index finger in the end of chords 1 and 3 when going to the A minor. But the downside is that you have to switch from the C add 2 to G add 4, which means you can't slide all the way. So my solution is to play my way. And then I release the middle finger and play the first round like this, to this, and then I use the C to change back. And when playing live, he sometimes switches it up and plays the last two chords like this. And this. And the 3 choruses is very alike. Chorus 1 and 2 is played the same, but with different lyrics on the last 2 rows. And then lastly, for chorus 3, he sings entirely different, but is played the same as the second half of the first 2. So first of all, if you can't or don't want to muffle the E string, you can either try to avoid it or just let it ring. Since the C is already in all the chords, it won't sound too bad. And also, if you have trouble with the G add 4/D and C6, you can simplify like this. And this. And when it comes to the strumming, you can firstly try sticking to these two, but if that's too hard, you can play one down strum per beat instead. So the normal pattern is 2 strums, and the short pattern is 1, which means you can use the LC Plus paper and letting the numbers reflect strums. And once again, no number means 2 strums. So for example, if you play without licks and apply the strumming and chords, the intro sounds something like this. And then, if you want to make it your own, maybe for a cover, here's a few tips. So an easy thing is to play with the tempo, especially maybe make it slower. And another one is to make the chords either longer or shorter, that is, more rounds or less. Then also remove song parts or change order. And then for the licks, you can, for example, either skip, mix them up, or make your own. And a tip for that is to firstly learn the scale, for example, by using the strings and the alphabet, like this. C, D, E, F, G, and so on. And then lastly, you can change the strumming, for example, to this, or this. So lastly, I have 2 more details in case you want to know. The first is on the album version that it tunes all the strings a bit flat, which means on a tuner it looks something like this. And the other one is that he often plays a bit slower on live performances, mostly around 70 to 72 BPM on average, instead of 76 as on the album. So that was all, but if you have more questions, just let me know.